Before we begin, we would like to say that, in our opinion, what follows is not suitable for children, or for those of you who are of a Marxist or misandrist disposition.
I'm pleased to be here. As I gaze out, I'm reminded of my sole purpose in the universe. To take disgusting, low-life scum such as yourselves to something less reprehensible. Thank you for inspiring me with how vomitous you all are.
What do you say to people who think that those comments are offensive?
Be offended.
Oh no.
Oh, for God's sake!
Piss off!
They are socially conscious citizens.
They are sheep.
Yes, very apt description.
You can't rewrite history. Not one line.
People spend all their time making nice things, and other people come along and break them.
It's the end.
You're the cause of this disaster.
I don't like it.
No.
No. No.
Hello, Grumpies. Greetings from the Shadow Band dimension. Back in the old days, fans of Doctor Who would tie themselves up in knots, trying to reconcile contradictions between different Doctor Who stories in different media. They would try to integrate the TV show, the comic strips, the novels and the audios into one single convoluted continuity. And while you had to admire their dedication and commitment, plus the mental gymnastics they had to go through to justify things, ultimately, you just had to laugh at them for doing something so utterly self-indulgent and pointless. Anyone who used their intelligence could see that Doctor Who was always a multiverse, not a single timeline. But then intelligence has always been a commodity in short supply, in a fandom renowned for its lack of any capacity for critical thinking or individualism. In the old days, the continuity cops called themselves the Canon Keepers, and they hung out at Outpost Gallifrey. May it rest in peace. Nowadays, they're called fan sheep, and they live in an online, wokery-infested alternate reality, a communist computational matrix, a fake land of fiction where women have penises and Jodie Whittaker is an actor, not an overpaid, overrated drama. It's a pocket dimension, a bubble universe, a safe space where fan sheep can hang with other fan sheep and support each other in their delusions.
You're utterly mad.
Safe from the problematic reality that they don't want to face. The reality that they are a shouty minority whose whining is amplified by Twitter.
Bloody Twitter!
The cesspit of incivility and intolerance that the left use to keep them doped up and docile. But who knows? Maybe Henry Van Statten really can fix it. If it were me, I'd delete the whole bloody thing and start all over again. Fan sheep are fuckwits. Mindless moronic drones who think that pronouncing the Doctor is a sign of moral superiority. But all it's really doing is signalling how mentally deficient they are, letting the rest of us know that they're nothing more than a drone, willingly putting their head in the Marxist noose. Fan sheep are losers, narcissists, and useful idiots. There are two kinds of Doctor Who fans: first generation fanboys and second generation fan sheep. Second generation fans only came to the show in 2005 through a combination of intrigue and parental recommendation. They were drawn into the Whoniverse by a rebooted version of Doctor Who that looked genuine and, in the days of RTD and Tennant at least, felt genuine for first generation fans who were around before the hiatus and the TV movie. The reboot fooled us all, me included, into thinking that both iterations or incarnations of the show were the same thing. They're not. First generation fans lived through the transition from, in my case, John Pertwee to Tom Baker, from Philip Hinchcliffe to Graham Williams, to JNT to the great cancellation crisis of 1985. If you'd been around that long, you had various versions of Doctor Who to compare and contrast, with the result that you knew shite when you saw it. Having endured the hiatus and the trial of a Time Lord, original series fans then sat through the Cartmel Masterplan rewrite, went through the wilderness years, got excited for the false dawn of the TV movie, went back through the wilderness again, and then, in 2003, nearly 20 years ago, we got the news we never thought we'd get, that Doctor Who was coming back. Only it didn't. What came back in 2005 was a version of Doctor Who that, cleverly, had enough in common with the original series to make the new series feel like it was a continuation. But it wasn't a continuation, the same but different and updated. It was a cleverly disguised reboot. Rebooting the Doctor and the show he's meant to be the hero of happens periodically, of course, but rebooting the show with a new producer or a new lead actor only works if they respect the past and build on what went before. When they don't, you get Wank Wars instead of Star Wars, and James Bland instead of James Bond. Retconning the Doctor's history to make him an anti-imperialism brown portal baby instead of a Time Lord from Gallifrey is what you do when you're a Marxist male feminist, which is the worst sort of feminist, a fan-wanking dickhead with no new ideas. Instead of doing something new, you do what fan-wankers always do. You rewrite the past. I've still to hear a cogent defence of the Timeless Child retcon, mainly because there's no justification for deliberately pissing off the fans by rewriting the lead character's history, only to have it locked up in a fob watch that the imposter Doctor then throws away.
What's it for?
Chibnall's obsession with rewriting the past to make it conform to the present exposes him as someone who doesn't give a shit about anything other than his toxic ideology. All the Timeless Child did was make it possible for some random to turn up as a forgotten Doctor. And what's that if not a rerun of yet another multi-Doctor story? Haven't we had enough of those? Jizz Finish clearly don't think so, since that's almost all they spew out these days. Fan wank like Classic Doctor's New Monsters, Out of Time and Season 6B is a singularly fannish concern. You would think that Nick Sherlock Holmes' vanity project Briggs would have remembered that the diminishing returns of sequelitis is what did for the show the first time round. But then, the Fitzrovian fan lords know that masking their modern Marxist messaging with the veneer of a fondly remembered past is what helps sweeten the toxic identity politics pill they're ramming down your throats. Fixating on the past, and then mutating it over time into the pronouning present is why Doctor Who is doomed to cultural irrelevance. The Doctor used to say he came from the planet Gallifrey in the constellation of Kasterborous. Now it's Wokifrey in the constellation of Diversborous. Gallifrey was the planet of the Time Lords. Wokifrey is the planet of the Fan Lords. The Fitzroy Tavern Fanboy Mafia's game plan isn't entirely dissimilar to that of Greta Thunberg, junior Bond villain in training. Do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to be carbon neutral. She pretends to be a climate change eco-wanker, but the reality is that she's an anti-capitalist watermelon. Green on the outside, red on the inside. The fan lords play the same game to somer the fan sheep into subservience. They pretend to be the keepers of the flame, the fanboy master masons, the only ones who can be trusted to avoid another journey to the edge of destruction. But what they're really doing is cynically playing on your emotional attachment to the thing you love, using it as coverage for their real agenda, which is to give you any old Marxist shite, confident that you will continue to watch no matter what. Why? Because one of the hallmarks of fans is their loyalty to the thing they love, demonstrated by their willingness to spend money on it in the form of DVDs and merch, which is why you can only find Doctor Who action figures in B&M these days. And what action figures are they bringing out? Ones based on the original series, not the reboot. Not only was Shittaker a ratings car crash, Shittaker doesn't sell. Shittaker doesn't shift merch, which is why the fan wank of Time Lord Victorious was fronted by Tennant and not her. Fans repeatedly make the mistake of misguidedly transferring their loyalty to what they loved about the old to the new. Then, when the new disappoints, they make excuses for it. Misguided loyalty in fandom, as in politics, simply perpetuates the problem. It doesn't solve it. Propping up a failure means the failure will continue to fail. Just look at the Conservative Party, or Blue Labour as they've become. Conservatism is no longer a political choice in the upcoming UK general election. Both parties have the exact same socialist and globalist agenda. It's a choice between Red Labour or Blue Labour. It's like Brexit never happened. Which is, of course, the whole point. Unquestioning political loyalty is why the Conservative Party corpse continues to lumber inexorably onwards, herding the sheep into the globalist social credit score future the WEF have planned for us. Unquestioning fan loyalty is why Doctor Who's rotting corpse is also still staggering towards an underwhelming 60th anniversary, with in-betweeny bait-and-switch Doctor David Tennant again. Why did he come back? That's easy. A combination of his own inner fanboy loyalty and his over-massaged ego. Any fandom's capacity for loyalty is almost always taken for granted these days by the normies who make their TV shows and movies for them. It's certainly taken for granted by the likes of Jizz Finish and the impartial my arse BBC, who invite you to dine at the restaurant at the end of the Whoniverse, hand you an inclusive menu filled with a choice of identity politics pate or squeeze soup for starters, followed by a main course of fan wank and chips, or a retcon salad drizzled with wokery, with a dessert choice of transgender ice cream, diversity fudge cake, or the house speciality, shit fingers and custard. And then they wonder why you cancel your reservation and go have something else from the anti-fan all-you-can-eat buffet across the street. Fan sheep are like the drones who live on the diet of McDonald's and KFC and then wonder why they're a fat lard arse. If all you feed on is over-processed synthetic slop, then it's no wonder you're a sugar addict with no self-control. Similarly, if you're the sort of sheep who pollutes your mind with pop culture trash like Strictly, Drag Race, Big Brother, Love Island and I'm a Sodding Celebrity, that shows the rest of us that you're an unthinking drone, unable to recognise shite when you see it. Fan sheep think that Dr. Pronoun is Doctor Who. It's not. It's a retcon con job. And the dumbass dickheads who think that Jodie Whittaker and Cutie Gay Wank are the Doctor are too thick to see it for the cultural sewage that it is. Fandom is fucked, wasting its time, in the words of me mate Clarkey over at the Sanctuary of Speech, fighting over a turd. But as we all know,
it's quite hard to leave something when one is very happy as.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
Why? Because your affection for what it used to be fools you into having the false hope that it can be again what it once was. That's what got first-generation fanboys excited when the TV movie was announced, but the BBC and Universal had competing interests that meant it was doomed to fail. When it comes to failure, Jizz Finish and the other fanlords of the wankerati are experts. These dickheads retconned Doctor Who into something more normie-friendly, failing to realise that they were undermining the very things that were the foundation of the show's appeal to a mass audience. But they don't care about that. What they care about is using Doctor Who as a propaganda tool to push their cultural Marxist messaging, knowing that the unthinking fan sheep will get infected by the subliminal mind virus and, if all goes to plan, infect others with it via anti-social media. Better still, if they are an impressionable, lacking in life experience university student, they can be ideologically indoctrinated with critical race theory, brainwashing them into good little brown shirt, anti-whiteness racists. Fan sheep are pathetic losers, Ming-mongs who are pathologically predisposed to gulping down whatever shite Jizz Finish and the BBC spew into their open mouths. By continuing to give them their eyeballs and their cash, they reveal themselves for who they really are. Pathetic, self-absorbed narcissists, intellectually weak, willingly submitting themselves to Marxist mindfuckery on an industrial scale. Fan sheep are losers in the game of life, woke wankers who think climate change is a crisis, that lockdown was a good idea, that Eddie Izzard is a woman, and that Jodie Whittaker and Cutie Gay Wank are the Doctor. Fan sheep are a subset of the sheeple that comprise a wider compromised society that is, in the words of Sixie,
decadent, degenerate, and rotten to the core.
You can pretend that men are women and gender swap and race swap the Doctor if you want to,
But it'd still be a very stupid thing to do.
but then fan sheep are stupid. They're pallid, devious worms, intellectually weak, Cowardly, fearful, self-obsessed NPC drones. Pathetic losers who used to really make me grumpy. Now, they just make me laugh. They're not high brains, they're more like shit for brains. And they're probably still wearing their face masks. Until the next time, resist the Marxists, don't be a sheep, and stay grumpy.
If you're a lefty and have been affected by anything in this video,
Fuck off!